Alright, so last week we ended the week by learning how to use conversion sentences to eliminate units, convert one form of measurement to the other. All the questions that you received were set up nicely for you. I had already set up question mark feet equals 19 yards. Today what's going to happen is that number one, you're going to be expected to memorize some of the conversion sentences, and you also have to set up the problem for solving. So a quick example of what we did last week is this. I gave you one question mark yards. Again, you can use abbreviation. YD is usually for yards, equals 1,000 feet. FT is usually for feet. And then what I told you to do is to make a fraction multiply by a fraction that eliminates feet. Now what I saw on the quiz was that most of you understand how to do the 3 feet over 1 yard or the 1 yard over 3 feet. You're just moving it to the wrong part. Keep in mind, whatever you have here that you do not want, move it to the bottom. So if I see feet here, I should see feet at the bottom, which means 3 feet should be here, which means that 1 yard should be here. The second thing I saw was people were doing it in the wrong direction. If it's on the bottom, think about it. If I have 6 over 3, am I multiplying by the 3 or dividing by 3? I'm actually dividing by 3. Bottom numbers get divided. And so what you're going to do here is 1,000 divided by 3. You might want to write it out for yourself for your notes. But 1,000 divided by 3 gives you the answer here of 333.33. And 2 decimal places is far enough. But again, set that up. Put the unit that we don't want on the bottom, using the sentence, putting it into a fraction form, and everything goes. Today, the same question will be arranged like this. And so it'll just say 1,000 feet. It'll give you a semicolon, which is a separator, and then yards. And what you'll have to do is kind of use the phrase of, what am I looking for first? What do I know second? So what am I looking for in this question? I am looking for yards because they give me 1,000 feet. So I will simply put question mark yards equals whatever they give me, which is 1,000 feet. And so that really is the hardest part of the transition, is that you have to make sure you can take a basic situation like that and turn it into the format that we're used to. So this just means that we have to learn how to translate the question into the form that we're used to. So let's take a moment now to do a few questions like that together, not to solve them, but just to set them up, because that's usually the first step that goes. So if you see a question that says 60 miles semicolon yards, it means I want to turn miles into yards. Again, you should always start with a question mark of what am I looking for. They already give me miles, so in this case I am looking for yards, and I would put question mark yards equals 60 miles because they give me 60 miles. In the next one, it has 11 fluid ounces. It wants you to turn to gallons. Again, always start with a question mark. And what are we looking for here? We have fluid ounces. We are looking for gallons, GAL, equals 11 fluid ounces. They just usually put FL for fluid, OZ for ounces. There is a difference between fluid ounces and ounces because regular ounces is pounds. This is what you get on your soda can. Or soda bottles. I guess they don't make too many soda cans anymore for you guys. But that's it. Start with the question mark of what you're looking for, end with what you already know. Here again, the format you're going to see, 15 kilograms into pounds. We are looking for pounds, and we have 15 kilograms. So as long as you can start that out, you should be okay. Once you've learned how to convert the question, we then have to deal with the fact that today's problems will require 2 fractions, some of them. Also, it's important to memorize some of the key conversions that you have to know. So some of the things you have to know is that 1 yard equals 3 feet. So you might want to start memorizing these, because these are things that's going to be expected of you when you take the test. Actually, when you take the quiz this week, there's not going to be a parentheses telling you that 1 yard equals 3 feet. I think that you know 1 yard equals 3 feet if you remember the yardstick. 3 rulers can fit in a yardstick. 1 pound is 16 ounces. 16 is a key number because that's the age that you get to drive. So 1 pound is 16 ounces. We should know that 1 foot is 12 inches because we've seen a ruler majority of our lives in elementary school. I think we should also know that 1 hour is 60 minutes. If not, you're not knowing how to tell time. 1 minute is 60 seconds, and 1 day is 24 hours. So these are some of the things you're going to be expected to know, and be able to kind of create on demand, as they say, to where you have the problem and you have to say, okay, yards and feet. I know that 1 yard equals 3 feet, or pounds and ounces. I know that 1 pound equals 16 ounces. All the questions from today will be based on these, so be sure to work on remembering the conversions because you will not be given hints on a test or the quiz. So let's work on some of these now. Again, in the format that we're used to. 8 yards, semicolon, inches means I am looking for inches, and I have 8 yards. Again, looking at this, I need to get rid of yards. The only thing I know to turn yards into, and this is where you have to kind of memorize it and don't look back at the notes or at the hints. The only thing I know to turn yards into is I can just kind of go and say 1 yard equals, I think that's the one where 1 yard equals 3 feet. And so I will use this to change it. So if 1 yard equals 3 feet, remember if yards is here, I want it at the bottom. So 1 yard, 3 feet. The problem is, even though my yards cancel out, I don't want feet, I want inches. And so now I have to think about feet. I know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, and so I need another fraction. And again, right now, basic level, whatever you don't want goes to the bottom. So I have feet on top, I will move 1 foot to the bottom and 12 inches up here. Feet cancel out. Notice that what I have on top matches what I am looking for, and so now I do a double problem. But it's not really that bad. Again, you type this number in. This is a top number 3, so you'll multiply by 3. This is a top number 12, so you'll multiply by 12. And that will be what you actually type in. 8 times 3 times 12, because both of those are top numbers, getting the answer of 288 inches as your result. So all we're doing is taking what we did last week and adding one more fraction, not that bad, but adding one more fraction to what you're doing, and we're also making it so you have to kind of recall what your options are. So yes, we're expecting a little bit more independence, but this is not that bad, again, as long as you practice it and again ask questions and be ready to go. 3 days to minutes. Again, question mark what I'm looking for. I'm looking for minutes, and I have 3 days that they give to me. So 3D is usually days, and again I need a fraction. Thinking of where we are at days. The only thing I know to turn days into is that I know 1 day is 24 hours. So let's go ahead and use that, because I think hours can then turn into minutes. But let's go ahead and do that again. If days is what I have and I want to get rid of them, remember that it should go on the bottom. So 1 day should go here. 24 hours, HR, should go here. So now my days are canceled out, but I have hours and I want minutes. And so now I'm stuck at hours, and so I ask myself, 1 hour converted to minutes is 60 minutes. And so in my other fraction, if I want to get rid of hours, I put hours on the bottom. I put 60 minutes on top. Hours cancel out. What I have on top matches what I am looking for. And again, because these are top numbers, it means that I will multiply. So you'll start with the 3 times 24 times 60 for your answer there. $4,320 minutes in 3 days. So like I said, this is not tough. It's just one of those things where you got to make sure you know what's going on. C turns 300 inches into yards. So again, what you want to do is start with question mark of what you're looking for, which is question mark yards, equals what I have, which is 300 inches. I need to convert inches. The only thing I know to turn inches into, if you think for a second, I don't have anything for 1 inch, but I do know that inches can turn into feet, and I know that 12 inches is equal to 1 foot. And so I'm going to try to see if that works, especially if you consider that we want to go to yards. Yep, because feet can turn to yards. So if I want to get rid of inches, it means that this has to go on the bottom, this has to go on the top, cross out my inches. I am at feet, but I don't want to be at feet, I want to be at yards, so I need to make another fraction, and I need to remember the foot to yards conversion. From what I know, if I am in feet to yards, 3 feet is 1 yard. And so this, because I'm getting rid of, needs to go on the bottom, this needs to go on the top, and that will give me what I need. And here again you have 300 that you'll type in, but this is a bottom 12, so remember we divide by bottom numbers. This is a bottom 3, so we'll also divide by that 3. So that's what you'll actually type into your calculator, is 300 divided by 12 and divided by 3 equals, looks like 8.33 yards. So the only thing added to the process is the fact that you have to memorize the information, also the fact that you have to add on maybe a second fraction on that part. D, question mark hours equals, make sure I did this right, 10,000 seconds. I am at seconds. I need to convert it. The only thing I know to convert seconds into, if I'm talking realistically, is going from seconds to minutes, and I know that 60 seconds equals 1 minute, and so I use this idea to make my fraction, which means if I want to get rid of seconds, this has to go on the bottom, this has to go on the top. Seconds cancel out. I have minutes. Unfortunately, I want hours, so I'm not done. And again, I think I know how to turn minutes into hours. I just have to think for a second and remember that it is 60 minutes equals 1 hour. And so this, because that's what I'm getting rid of, must go on the bottom. This has to go on the top because that's what it's equal to. And I have hours on top. I am looking for hours. And again, what you do now is you write the first number down, which is 10,000. This is a bottom 60, which means divide by 60. This is a bottom 60, which means divide by 60, and that is what I will type into my calculator to get my answer. So 10,000 divided by 60 divided by 60 equals 2.77, which turns into 2.78 hours, is what 10,000 seconds is. So before we move on to classroom practice, let's look at one more application problem that will be expected of you on your test. This problem is asking you to find a point where two companies charge the same amount. This is talking about a rental car agency, and what happens is whenever you're comparing two companies, one usually charges you more per day and then less per mile, whereas the other one charges you less per day and more per mile. So there is a point where both of those two things meet. So a rental car agency charges $24 per day plus 9 cents per mile to rent a car. Another charges $31 per day plus 7 cents per mile to rent the same type. How many miles per day will have to be driven for the cost of the first agency to equal, again we're talking equal, the cost from the second agency? So I'm just going to list the two agencies as A and B. And then I'm going to put down what agencies charge. So it says 24 per day plus 9 cents per mile. And you're talking about miles per day. So you're talking 1 day, which means that this 24 is a regular 24 because in 1 day you're only going to get charged 24 once. But it is plus 9 cents per mile. And so that means that I would put plus 0.09 M because it's $24 plus 9 cents per mile. So I have to multiply the number of miles times 9 cents. That gives me agency A. In terms of agency B, they charge me $31 per day. So I only get the 31 twice because I'm talking 1 day, plus 7 cents per mile. Again, 7 cents per mile means I should put 0.007 M. And the whole point is we want these two things to equal each other. So in terms of algebra talk, you're just going to put 24 plus 0.09 equals, because M, equals 31 plus 0.07 M. And that's all. This is company A. You want it to equal company B. Now you solve. Keeping in mind we want our variables on one side. The smaller amount is 0.07. So I will move that first. And the only thing that makes this ugly is the decimals, but it's okay. 0.09 minus 0.07 should be 0.02. So you bring down your 24, bring down your 24 plus 0.02 M equals 31. If this is my M, I got to get rid of the 24 first. 0.02 M equals, I think that's 7. And then again, if I want to get rid of the 0.02, I divide by 0.02. And 7 divided by 0.02 is 350. So in other words, you'd have to drive 350 miles in that day for both of these two things to be equal. So when you see that today, try it out, see how far you get. If you don't get all the way through it, just make sure you ask a question about it, because find somebody that can try to help you understand it, because again, the bottom line in here is that you get the information. Make sure again you are working, because if you are not working, if you're starting to mess around, you are going to lose points. I don't have to kick you out to give you a 0, so keep in mind all that can happen. So just make sure you're doing your job today. Actually no, right now you are going to go to MathXL. So go to MathXL right now. Get 100% on that work before you get the worksheet. So after you get your 100%, call me over so I can see it. And when I see your 100%, I will give you the worksheet, which we'll talk about afterwards. So good luck.